Hello everyone, on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. Today we have the joy of being joined by Dr. Esmeralda Garzón Martin. She is a psychologist, psychotherapist. She's specialized in Eastern techniques. She has a holistic approach to the human mind and behavior. Before starting with her, just want to remind you that Mindalia is an international nonprofit organization and that you can collaborate with us in many ways, but only one of them is leaving us a positive comment, sharing our content. You can even go to our website, www.mindalia.com. You're going to find out all our information there. Now, let me welcome Dr. Esmeralda Garzón Martin. Welcome to Mindalia once again, and today in English, of course.
I'm so excited and so happy and so grateful. Thank you for the invitation, Mirna. Thank you very much to Mindalia Televisión, that is always been a great messenger to wake up consciousness around the world. And I'm very happy. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you, Mirna.
We are happy. We are grateful. We have had you several times in our Spanish channel. You are a referent already there. And we didn't want to miss the opportunity to bring the content that you have shared with us now in English. Thank you for crossing over with me, of course. We have titled this space, The Shifting Towards a New Era. I would say that you would need to live under a rock if you're not noticing that everything around us is taking a new shape. It looks like the structures that we've been living in for the past centuries are probably not as slowly as we wanted to, but they are disappearing, they are shifting, and there are things that we are no longer going to be seeing around, and new things are being incorporated into our reality. And from your perspective, the perspective of a psychologist, the perspective of someone that has been studied Eastern techniques and now the quantum physics, for example, what's happening right now, Dr. Esmeralda?
Well, Mirna, we are really in one of those magnificent moments that humanity can ever imagine to live. And even though it's been very hard, it's been time of trial and time of big lessons. This is a moment where we can expect the unexpected. We just begin. It's the beginning of a new era that will lead us to a totally different perspective of life, and is sending us directly to a new adventure. And I think it's the most amazing adventure any human being can live, and is that traveling, that returning to who we really are. And yes, through all my years of experience and teaching and practice in the psychology merge that I've been doing during all these years, the Eastern and the Western, and the most amazing thing that I can find right now, besides all the content and all the pain and suffering that we know the world is in, there is the other side of the story. And it's the great opportunity as a human beings we're having right now to understand the true meaning of life, how we are able to construct a new civilization, or to finally go to an end as a self-destructive, humanity. So what's going on right now is really, I call it's a collapse between two eras. The era where the mind rules, and an era that started that brings us into the integration, the merge between that force, even the quantum physics right now. I said in my classes, I tell to my students, now the science get the point where it merged with, we know for many years, the spirituality movements, the philosophy for centuries, thousands of years, has telling us that we do have the power to create our own destiny as a human beings. And I won't say it's negative what we have experienced in the past year. 2020 has been a year of trial for everyone and single of us. It's not an exception. All of us in different degrees we have experienced this time. But if we have the right attitude, And if we open our eyes and we desire really to understand, this is the biggest opportunity we're having. The force to be close, the force to be isolated as we being, is a call from the soul, it's a call from that quantum, that we live, to really recognize the power we have for self-destruction as we came to be, because the reality is something that people don't like too much to accept, but we have to face it. And is that we are responsible for what is going on in the world. We're not victims of anyone. We are creators of our own destiny. And unfortunately, we have to face that reality that we all have to contribute to a new race, to a new humanity. And the new age, or the new era that's just started, is giving us that opportunity. It's giving us the opportunity of integration. The era that ends is the era of separation, is an era of competition, is an era of the mind, is an era where the good and bad is separates, and is the forces of the universe. It's not good, it's not bad, it's beyond that. Is to understand these forces, as the quantum physics right now is helping us to understand, and they do have the facts now to explain to us in a very concrete way how every single thought, the thought we have, they're particles, they're energy particles that creates, they're seeds that creates fruits, and how we impact not only our lives, but the collective consciousness, the collective energy that we all generate with those thoughts. Emotions is information, and that information still energy. And besides that, my words are, frequencies that are going into the space, and those are creations. Every single thought, every single word, every single feeling we have is a creation in this case. So we have to assume the responsibility. And today I want to have that opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity again, because it's to awaken consciousness, it's awaken our responsibility. We're not victims. If we are victims of our ignorance or our fear or that paradigm that we experienced for centuries. It's easier to blame someone. It's easy to blame, it could be anyone in my family or outside of my family or political, sides, to project my frustration. Those answers that have no question, and project it to them. Instead, holding the responsibility and say and ask to myself, how can I hold and create my reality? And that is possible today because, as I say before, it's not a matter anymore of spirituality or philosophy or religion or any ancient knowledge that we can inherit it through all this time that always tell us, go within yourself, know yourself. Once you know yourself, you can create a universe. This is physics. Now we're talking about physics, something tangible, something that can be proven in a laboratory. It's not anymore an idea or a theory. It's a fact. So my invitation today in this conversation, Mirna, is stop for a minute and think where I am right now, which situation I am in right now, and hold responsibility 100% of that. Because once we do that, we recover our power of creation, and we can start to turn around the wheel, and we can start to turn around the circumstances that we may face it. We all have friends. We all have people that we love. We have lost it through all this period of trial on the 2020. And right now, it's chaotic. But chaos, from my perspective and experience, is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to reform, reconstruct, to review our mind, our mindset. What is it that I think that is really against myself? What is it that I feel that is really against myself? If we back a little bit into what the psychology, that we do now, is the century 21st psychology, we can apply quantics into the emotion body of a person. We can say, okay, if I vibrate with hatred, I'm vibrating in around 80 hertz. Hertz is a measure. It's an electric measure. And that measure is telling me where my electromagnetic field is vibrating. And as a carrier of electromagnetic fields, that means we're magnets. And we attract to us that frequency that we are vibrating with. And that frequency is belong to my thoughts, is belong to my feelings. So if I can try, even though it's a hard concept, maybe it can sound like science, like fiction, it's not anymore. And that's what is bringing us this new era, is that opening, understanding the need of transformation and change. We have collapsing, we are viewing, we are witnessing the collapse of an old way of being. And that means it's a new opportunity to rebuild, and to rebuild from the in out, to acquire the control of our lives. And that for me is great, because that's freedom. That's true freedom. When I have to put my life in someone's hands, in a government, or my husband, or my boss, or whoever is around me who have some kind of power, and I'm totally, vulnerable to that kind of power, means I don't know myself. So this is a call to know yourself. This is a call to discover who you really are. And once you start that journey, you will never come back, because you will discover the beauty, the true power that lies within every single cell of your body. Is an information, and it's an original information that we all carry. And that is a divine information, as I call it, or quantum information, as they call it. It doesn't matter the name. The fact is there is a quantum of infinite possibilities. It's a potential of infinite possibilities. And this new era is exactly that. It's bringing us every single day. We can see this life. As we know now, nothing is predictable. Everything that we thought was settled and it was secure, now we understand it's not. And it's not that it's just now, always been like that. The only thing is now we have to face that reality. The situation in the world, the human race is experiencing something they need to realize. And it's the only thing we have is this moment. And whatever I do with this moment is what is going to create my future. And my future is in my hands when I understand where I'm coming from, who I am, what I am, where is my source, how I exist. And all those questions are now answering through science. So it's my invitation today is to stop and ask yourself who I am. What is the meaning of my life? Is really just this, to carry a mask, or someone to tell me what to do, not to do, can I do? Or do I have the power someplace within myself to create what I deserve? There is happiness. Is the common denominator that carries humanity. And is that doesn't matter what race, color, philosophy, religion, we all want to be happy. And that happiness, the only place to find it, truthfully, there is no a temporary happiness. There is a true happiness, peace of mind is within us.
Thank you for sharing that information with us. There are many things that I'm carrying or that I'm keeping from what I've been hearing. And one of the things that I find really interesting, and you repeated that a couple times, and is self-destruction. I'm an optimist, and I always believe that whatever is happening for a reason. I decided to believe that we are like crossing a threshold in our evolution, and that this opportunity is definitely to grow, to decide, to probably sift what we have in front of us, our decisions, our lifestyle. But also I do believe in the freedom. I do believe in the again, the word is going to be sounding a lot during the next hour, but opportunity for transformation. But that freedom has a price. That freedom and that acknowledgement of my life, depending on the way I do things and my perspective and my own healing. And is that when we face that possibility, we're going to have to let go of blaming others about what's going on with us. And that is so hard to do. We have been taught ever since we were children, if we trip and fall, mom would go like, oh, bad staircase, or bad table, you hurt my child, or bad floor, you hurt my child's knee. For example, I remember, back home, they used to say that. We are used to say, I tripped because the floor was this, or the floor was that, or these shoes are too tight. How do we actually embrace that power? And because it's easier said than done, right? But you have a lot of experience in this. Like, how can we actually grab it, bring it, and say, you know what? Yes, this is mine. I created it, and not only me, because I can tend to go a little bit towards even guilt. Self-responsibility may be a little bit too overloaded on me. But how do I actually grab
in
this?
everyone, in everyone, it's not an easy change. There is something in the universe that always happens, and it's change. And it's something in human minds that is the most difficult thing to accept, and it's change. I think the lesson for all of us this year is to learn to accept. Acceptance to what it is today, and embrace what it is today, and to see life from a different view. And if something happened today, if it's a sickness in my body, is what is it that what is my way of thinking? Everything back for me, the most important thing is to understand that my thinking creates my reality. That every thought is a particle of energy. I know this is a concept that is a new concept, and there is a concept that kind of, it takes time to digest, to accept it, and much more to apply in our lives. Initially, it's an intellectual idea, but we have to dive into those new ideas. We have to open ourselves to those new ideas. Otherwise, we're going to hold to that paradigms, to that way of being. The more resistance we do to change, the more pain we will bring into our lives. Because the reality is, this is a cosmic event. This is an event that is not only to Earth, it's a cosmic event. There's cycles in the universe that close, and we just close one. The universe he can't wait for us to get into their pace. We have to follow it. Like, imagine a wave. Imagine it's a huge wave, and we have to either go with the wave, in other words, go with the flow of the wave, or let the wave pass over. And that's something that now is not a maybe, it's a must. It's not a way back. If we're thinking that we're going to experience life as we all used to experience life, it's a denial of reality. Because nothing is going to be the same as used to be. And that has to do with energy. It has to do with paradigms that we are we are in the merge of two eras, means old and new. And for years, this is not going to happen from now to 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. We need to accept that this is a process. And it's a process that's going to bring our humanity into a totally different level, where it deserves to be, really, in a democratic, let me use that word, way, where everybody has a kind of opportunities, but we need new structures. We need new institutions, ideas, systems, and that's going to take time. Build. So is that part that we need to decide where I'm going to be in this movie. Do I want to be in the one that I die with, or do I want to be in the one that just born?
That's interesting, Esmeralda. There is something funny because yes, it is very hard to picture and understand the fact that my thinking that there are actually that this information that is light and there are particles that I don't even know how to call it, but that's creating the atmosphere around me.
Everything.
And it's allowing certain events to manifest or not in my reality, but still we do believe that I am in one part of the world, you are in another part of the world, and whomever is watching is somewhere else, and that energy is getting, it's light, it's information, it's data.
Yes,
it's very easy to believe in technology, but why we don't believe in ourselves, in the technology that is actually happening within our biological bodies? I leave that there. And the other thing that I was thinking when you say about new structures, new governments, and is that we tend to believe that the world is organized by a government that is completely divorced from our reach. Like we can't access that, and we forget, or at least people that think like me and like you, that we collectively are manifesting our authorities. So we complain so hard about what we're doing, and we forget that within our own existence there we are all collaborating to the vibration that is, you know, the cameraman and the projection and the actual film that we're seeing, right?
Exactly. We all contribute to what we experience. And that's why it's so important to start to think, okay, what is it that I want to see? What is it that I want to see in my life? And understanding that my life is going to be a projection of what we live outside. Everything that we see right now is separation. That's the old era, separation. But we're going to have to come into terms with ourselves. Because once we came in terms with ourselves, that I cannot live in a world of separation, because that is a reflection of my own self. Means I am separated from my own self. I have to integrate myself. I need to bring myself into terms within myself. I need to know myself. And in that knowing itself, the individual is contributing to a new humanity, because then the projection will be collectively. See, it's not about I need to change my neighbor, and my neighbor is a bad person, and that person is terrible, is doing horrible things in the neighbor. He have to change. But if I have the capacity to see his behavior and react against that behavior, means that within myself, I carry the frequencies of that behavior. So I need to connect to a higher level and see in that person the capacity to change, the energy that can bring him into consciousness, the capacity to see his own self-destruction, the capacity to recognize, as I recognize in myself, my own light, my own force, the force that I'm connected with all that quantum physics talk. It says, everything, even the emptiest space, is not empty. It's full of energy. We collect that energy and we create images and we create thoughts and we create our world with that we say, well, where is it? I can see it, I can touch it, but hey, we can feel it. And how it's a simple example that I always give to my students, and is, I know the idea to relate with something that that is not tangible, it's kind of hard, when you're not used to this kind of thinking and you go always into the matter, into something very tangible. Well, we live from something that we can see. Literally, our life depends on something that we cannot touch. And it's air. It's oxygen. I can see it if I go in a laboratory and try to figure out things. Yeah, I can see the particles. But we all literally live from something that we cannot see. And what is that telling us? That whatever we can see really is more important than that I can touch and feel in the matter. Well, that's energy. So we need to start to change those paradigms that if I don't see it, I don't believe it. To understand where we're coming from, because that is exactly how affects everything. Outside of ourselves is a duality. It's a day and it's a night. We cannot disconnect that reality. It's dual, it's good, it's bad. But there is another force that we need to keep in mind, and it's neutral, when we can integrate those two forces, because those two forces are within us and within anything that is alive in the universe. And that part of creation is what we resist. We resist to believe that we are creators. We resist to believe that we are really with the capacity to create our own reality. Fear is what is holding us back. All the situation that we live, the experience in the world right now, in terms of sickness, health, death, I won't say that the situation itself is the cause of that. I will self is fear. When you fear, when you panic to death, when you don't understand who you are, who we are, the collective consciousness that is vibrating with fear, that's what we're channeling, that's what we're receiving in our minds, and can destroy our life. So fear is a creation of the mind, and we need to learn to recognize it in order for us to overcome. How? Recognizing life, certainty that we do have the power within us to create our own reality.
It is funny and it's fascinating how our senses are deceitful and how we refuse to believe in things that I am going to dare to say that we have all felt at least once. We have all felt at least once that we're at a public place and someone is staring at us. We turn around and yes, there's someone staring at us. Or thinking of someone and all of a sudden receiving a phone call. There are so many things around us. There are so many things happening that are confirming that we are part of an invisible field that is actually having an effect on our reality. But we've been washed from that. We were taught to disregard said feelings. Don't go into that street. I once heard or read, I can't remember, that actually victims of assaults, for example, they have one thing in common, is that they all had a hunch before something happening. They all had that feeling of, oh, I shouldn't go there. But we are just so reluctant to accepting that is something else beyond what we can see with our physical eyes and what we can hear with our physical ears. There are a couple questions in the chat, Esmeralda, and I want to take a chance to answer them. But before that, since we've been talking for a little bit, I never had the chance, or I completely forgot to ask you where you got your information. What are your studies? Let's dedicate just a minute so people can understand why you have, in a certain way, authority to speak about these terms.
Okay. Well, I have 25 years of psychology practice, and when I begin from a very young age, I am fascinated with the mind, with the human mind. And I've been very blessed and very, very, I don't use the word lucky, but I say blessed because that's what I really feel, to connect with the Western philosophies. One of my direct teachers until today for the past 20 years is His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, who is a very practical man, who just very spiritual, but very practical in the way he approached life. And that offered me the opportunity to study in India. I did my master in India of Oriental Psychology, and merge those two philosophies, the West and the East, and discover how we can really impact people's lives when we help them to understand who they are in very different levels. Those are, well, it's basically in general how I become part of this understanding of energy and how we create our own reality with our thoughts. Besides that, I've been studying my whole life, and I have different teachers, like have the opportunity to get into the quantum idea with Dr. Jean-Pierre Garnier-Mallet, who is a French physicist, and he has a theory of doubling time and space. And it's fascinating to see his work. I have the opportunity to study with him and to understand all these aspects of the mind from his perspective, and totally strictly scientific, no philosophy there. Kabbalah is another ancient philosophy that I'm a practitioner and a teacher for a long time too. In my own experience as a human being, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, a wife, all the roles of a woman and a woman.
And a woman empowerer. Women empowerer.
And that helps me to practice all that I learned to myself. You know, I don't believe I can share anything to anyone that I don't experience myself, because it's the only way you can really help people is when you can extend your own experience. Yes, knowledge, of course, but experience. And I can say that my life was totally transformed when I understood really that I create my life. I mean, it's my thoughts, what I think, and what I feel, and what I talk is really the source of my happiness or unhappiness, and not only mine, but go beyond that. It's going to how myself impact the whole, how we are interconnected each other, you know. So it's all this information. There is my whole life that I've been studying and trying my best as a human being with my up and downs like everyone else. Practice this, and I see difference in my life, great changes, and I'm very happy that I can help other people to reach same levels, because it's everybody has the same potential. You know, it doesn't matter the knowledge, but everybody has the same potential to reach the highest consciousness to create happiness to themselves and to the world. And I'm excited right now because this is where we live right now. You know, it's maybe I'm not going to be alive to see it, but I know by fact that this is it. We have to change. We have to self-responsibility and make responsibility not like it sounds, you know, when you say, oh, I have to be responsible, sounds like a heavy word, you know, like like, oh, yeah, you know, but no, self-responsibility means freedom. That's really what it means. We have to make friends with responsibility, with self-responsibility, because then I'm free to create whatever I want. So yes, many years of study, practices, and great opportunities, great teachers, Rav Yehuda Berg, the founder of Kabbalah Center. You know, there are so many philosophies. I always went to the spiritual path, but I'm a pragmatic person too. You know, I like to see facts, and that's how through the years, I can merge my practice, and the results are amazing. It really.
Thank you for what you do, because you're with that opening the door for many women to be empowered in learning and understanding their lives, and as a result, of course, the influence in our families, in our family tree, is amazing. Liz Diaz, she is reaching out through the Facebook chat. Do you have some recommendations to direct the mind in the acceptance, into the acceptance?
Oh, that's a very interesting, and you give to the point. What's her name? Sorry, can you repeat? Liz. Well, Liz, you make a very important point, because it's really the base for us to lead out of chaos right now. is acceptance. It's the acceptance that everything that is happening right now has a purpose. Even I don't understand which is the purpose, but it is a purpose. And that purpose is to help us, as I said before, to recognize who we really are, question ourselves about the capacity to create our own life and our own destiny. One of the things to accept that one of the tools that I share is to recognize there is only one moment in life when we create, and it's the present moment. Right here, right now, everything is as it's meant to be. Everything is, even if I don't understand, even if it's in this moment, it's like a rainbow. You can have the whole colors, or you can have it in black and white. When we see life in black and white, means good and bad, we are limiting ourselves. When we see life in colors, we see the infinite possibilities. And those infinite possibilities only happen in this instant. Then is when it flows the energy through the universe. And this is science. It's telling us that in the present moment is the only time when we create. It's not in black, the past. It's not in white, the future. It's right here. And when you keep that presence, when you catch your mind and you bring it back to the present moment, it's peace. And in that peace, you find acceptance. So the work is, remember, life is created in the present moment. And it's plenty of information out there that you can start to investigate. I can give you Eckhart Tolle is one of, I love him because he really been working and giving the opportunity to people to understand what is it that present moment means, and means life, peace, happiness, prosperity. It means everything that we are. The whole connection with that quantum that in essence is perfect. It's pure intelligence. When we allow it, when we become channels for that information, then it's peace and acceptance.
Thank you for that answer. Cynthia Escalante from Mexico. How should humanity today in this situation, let me see, no, that's not the question, my apologies. The question is from Peru. I'm going to translate it because I'm simultaneously translating what I'm reading in Spanish. We know we live in a dual world. When we find feelings derived from fear and we acknowledge them, how can we transform said feelings into feelings derived from love?
Okay, transformation. When you recognize a negative feeling, you are recognizing your creation. You're not those negative feelings. We need to understand the difference between I am the creator or this is me. Fear is a creation of the mind. And it's real because we give life to that feeling, to that emotion, or to that thought. But it's not real in itself. If you face fear, you confront fear, you look at it, say, I'm afraid to spiders. Okay, let me see the spider. Let me see how she walks. Let me see how she comes close to me. What is it that I'm so afraid of it? What is it the worst it can happen in this situation? In order to overcome fear, we have to face our fears, because those fears are the creation and the empowerment of those fears are from ourselves. It's not coming from outside. It's not real. Once you face your fear, you will notice that start to dissipate because it's not real.
Esmeralda.
And you can replace fear with certainty. And the way you can do it is at night, if you feel a fear that you really carry, panic to die, you have to figure out which is the fear. Fear to what? Once you identify what kind of fear it is, then at night, before you sleep, on your last thoughts, when you are ready to sleep, that you are in that between awakened state or almost gone to sleep, in that moment, you're going to repeat the opposite. Let's give you an example. Let's say you fear to death. You have panic to die. Well, what is the opposite of that? I embrace life. I am life. I flow with life. See? So then that's the sentence you want to sleep with. You want to repeat that before you sleep over and over and over and over. And in the morning, when you wake up, you want to notice that the first thought comes to your mind is that. It's the same one that you give before you sleep. And you're going to start to reprogramming your mind to certainty, to life. And the fear is going to start to disappear.
Thank you for that answer. As we reach the end of our conversation, Esmeralda, I want to give you a moment so you can give us your closing thoughts and you can say goodbye to the people that have been enjoying the now with us for 45 minutes now.
Thank you, Mirna. Thank you, Mindalia Televisión. I really, this is an amazing opportunity in this moment of transition. And I just want to remember everybody who is listening to us right now, take this as the greatest opportunity you ever have in your life to awake yourself to self-responsibility, to self-creation, to self-change. If we think in the same way we always been thinking, if we act in the same way we always been acting, the result as a consequence have to be the same results. So if we want change in our lives, we have to learn to change within ourselves. It's not outside. Outside is just a projection of my frustration. I need to find that frustration, fear, empty space, and fill it with the true source, light, life. That's who you are. Within you is the power to change, always. Thank you very much. I hope our conversation, thank you, Mirna, always. I love you.
I love you too.
To have this opportunity. Thank you very much.
It has been a great pleasure having the chance to have just a normal conversation the way we would have had it just over coffee with you. It is a great blessing to have the chance to be around people like you. We take your teachings. We hope that you're great and that you transform with us. Of course, we're all walking towards where we want to go. To the people that have been with us, of course, thank you again. All our gratitude and all our love. And well, we'll see you pretty soon in the next Mindalia live streaming. Bye bye.